Karen's sneer could curdle milk from a mile away. She stood there, all 300 pounds of her, blocking the sidewalk like a human toll booth, accusing me of crimes I didn't even know existed. It was a humid Tuesday evening in our quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind where kids ride bikes and old folks water their roses. But peace? That was about to be obliterated by HOA Karen and her sister, Min, who decided I was the devil incarnate for daring to walk past their precious SUV. I'm Jaden, 24, just a graphic designer trying to get home after a long day at the coffee shop where I freelance. My crime? Strolling down Maple Street with my headphones on, vibing to lo-fi beats, when Karen's voice sliced through like a chainsaw. You dented my car, she bellowed, pointing a manicured claw at me. Her sister Min, a carbon copy with an extra layer of self-righteousness, nodded like a bobblehead, her arms folded tight. Their SUV, a gleaming white monstrosity parked crookedly across two spaces, sat untouched as far as I could tell. No dent, no scratch, just Karen's ego, bruised by my mere existence. I pulled out my earbuds, blinking. Ma'am, I didn't touch your car. I was just walking. My voice was calm, but inside, my heart was doing somersaults. Karen's eyes narrowed, her jowls quivering with indignation. Don't lie to me, kid. I saw you kick it. Min chimed in. Yeah, we both saw you. You think you can just damage people's property and walk away? The absurdity hit me like a brick. Kick her car? I was in sneakers, not steel-toed boots, and I'd been 10 feet away, lost in my music. The sisters were a local legend, the HOA's unofficial enforcers. Karen, the ringleader, was infamous for her petitions against unsightly mailboxes and her habit of photographing neighbors' lawns for minor infractions. Min was her loyal sidekick, always ready to back up her sister's tirades with a chorus of exactly. They thrived on control, on making people squirm. And now, they'd set their sights on me, a nobody who just wanted to eat leftover pizza and crash on my couch. You're gonna pay for this, Karen snapped, pulling out her phone to film me. I'm calling the cops. You're done. Min smirked, whispering something to her sister that made them both cackle. I stood there, dumbfounded, as a small crowd gathered Mrs. Lopez from across the street, a couple of teens on their bikes, and Mr. Chun, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. The air was thick with tension, the kind that makes your skin prickle. I could have walked away, but something in Memebe's stubbornness, maybe principle, made me stay. I wasn't going to let these two bully me into admitting something I didn't do. The cops arrived 10 minutes later, two officers in a patrol car that pulled up with a lazy flash of lights. Officer Daniels, a tired-looking man with a graying mustache, stepped out first, followed by Officer Ruiz, younger and sharper, her eyes scanning the scene like a hawk. Karen launched into her performance, voice rising to operatic levels. This delinquent vandalized my car. Look at the dent. She pointed to a barely visible nick on the SUV's bumper, so faint it could have been a trick of the light. Min nodded furiously. He kicked it. We saw him. I took a deep breath, my palms sweaty. Officers, I didn't touch their car. I was just walking home. Check the security cameras. I gestured to the corner store across the street, its neon sign buzzing faintly. The shop had a camera pointed right at the sidewalk, a fact I'd noticed months ago when I bought snacks there. Karen's face twitched, a flicker of unease crossing her features before she doubled down. He's lying. That camera probably doesn't even work. Officer Ruiz raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. Let's see about that. She walked over to the store, disappearing inside while Daniel stayed with us, asking for IDs. Karen handed hers over with a flourish, as if it were a royal decree. Min followed suit, muttering about justice. I gave mine quietly, my stomach churning. What if the camera was broken? What if they believed the sisters? I'd never been in trouble before, but the thought of a false accusation sticking to me like gum on a shoe made my chest tight. The crowd grew, whispers rippling through the onlookers. Mrs. Lopez shook her head, muttering, "Those two again." The teens were filming on their phones, probably hoping for viral content. Mr. Chun just sighed, clutching his grocery bag like a lifeline. Karen, oblivious to the growing skepticism, kept up her tirade, calling me a punk and a liar, while Min nodded like a metronome. I wanted to scream, but I kept my cool, knowing one wrong move could tip the scales against me. Ruiz returned, holding a tablet. "Got the footage," she said, her tone neutral but her eyes sharp. "Let's take a look." She turned the screen so Daniels could see, and I caught a glimpse of the grainy video. There I was, walking past the SUV, my headphones on, hands in my pockets, nowhere near the car. The timestamp showed I hadn't even paused. Karen's face paled, but she didn't back down. "That's not clear enough. He could have done it earlier." Ruiz ignored her, zooming in on the footage. "Here's the interesting part," she said, her voice cutting through Karen's bluster. The video showed Karen and Min standing by the SUV minutes before I walked by, Karen leaning heavily against the bumper while arguing with Min. The dent appeared right after she pushed off, her weight leaving a telltale mark. The crowd gasped, and Mrs. Lopez let out a loud, "Huh." Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. That's not what happened," she sputtered. Min, for once, was silent, her eyes darting to her sister. Ruiz wasn't done. "Ma'am, you accused this young man of vandalism, but the evidence shows you caused the damage yourself. That's filing a false report, which is a misdemeanor." Daniels nodded, pulling out his notepad. "We're going to need you to come with us." The sister's bravado crumbled. Karen's face turned beet red, her hands flailing as she tried to argue. "This is outrageous. I'm a respected member of this community." Min whimpered. "We didn't mean to, but the officers weren't having it." They escorted Karen to the patrol car, her protests growing fainter as the door shut. Min followed, head down, suddenly mute. The crowd erupted in murmurs, some clapping, others shaking their heads in disbelief. I stood there, my heart still racing, but a weight lifted off my shoulders. Mrs. Lopez patted my arm. "You did good, Jaden. Those two have been terrorizing us for years." The teens were still filming, probably live-streaming Karen's downfall. Mr. Chin gave me a rare smile before shuffling off. As the patrol car pulled away, I felt a strange mix of relief and pity. Karen and Min had built their little empire on intimidation, but one grainy video had toppled it. The next day, the neighborhood buzzed with the story. Someone had scrawled "Karen's lies exposed" in chalk on the wall near the store, a petty but satisfying jab. I heard later that Karen was fined for the false report, and the HOA quietly removed her from their board. Min stopped showing her face around the block. The dent? They paid for it themselves, a bitter pill for their pride. Looking back, I realized something. People like Karen thrive on fear, but truth has a way of catching up. It's not always loud or dramatic, but it's relentless. I didn't need to yell or fight to prove my innocence, just a camera, some patience, and the courage to stand my ground. Maybe that's the real justice, not just for me, but for everyone who's ever been steamrolled by a Karen and lived to see them fall. The end.